So, the Battle of Bastards took place on Father's Day. Well played, HBO. Well freaking played. Hey guys, it's Rashab, and I'm bringing you my episode recap of last night's Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 9, Battle of Bastards. And this is probably one of the most hyped episodes of the season, if not of all time, because I know for me, I was hyping it up pretty a lot, and I was really looking forward to this episode. And I have to say, I wasn't disappointed at all. So, I mean, okay, there was one thing that I was disappointed in, and that was that I was hoping that the whole episode would be focused on the north, like between Jon and Ramsay, like they did with the Battle of the Wall back in season 4. But they also did a little bit of Meereen in there. I mean, they didn't do it that much, but I wish they'd done the whole episode on the Battle of Bastards. So yeah, like I said, they focused on Meereen. That was the only other storyline in this episode. So I'll talk about Meereen first, since the Battle of Bastards is the best thing that happened. So basically in Meereen, as we saw in the last episode, Daenerys, she returned back like when the Masters were attacking. So they call a temporary ceasefire in which the Masters that Tyrion made a deal with, they're basically saying, look, you were arrogant to think you could trust us, to think you control us. We're taking the city back, and you can either surrender right now, or we'll kill all of you, right? And Daenerys is like, no, we're not here to talk about my surrender, we're here to talk about yours, right? And then when they don't surrender, Daenerys, she calls on all 3 of her dragons, and she goes and just burns all the ship. Well, not burns all of them, she blows a lot of them up, because she still needs ships if she's going to sail for Westeros. So she attacked the ships, some of them, and I think the others, they either surrendered or fled. Because we even saw, like, Tyrion was like, you have a choice now. You can either die for the Masters who won't die for you, or you can go home and to your family and all, right? So a lot of them, they just leave. And then so then Grey Worm, he kills the Masters, and basically that ends the whole Masters conflict, I guess. And the Dothraki also show up, and they kill the Sons of the Harpies. So I don't know if they killed all the Sons of the Harpies, but I felt like it took out most of them. So I guess Meereen is sort of safe for now. And then the Greyjoys show up, Yara and Theon, and they basically make a pact with Daenerys. They basically make a deal. Daenerys says that if you guys support my claim to the Iron Throne, if you fight for me to take back the Iron Throne, then I will support Yara and your claim for the Salt Throne. Sorry, and so basically that's a deal they made. And like, you can, like, even as Yara points out, Daenerys and Yara, they're both similar. They both want to be the first female rulers in a long time. They both had fathers who were kind of like, they were terrible fathers and terrible rulers, and they're both trying to fix the mistakes that their fathers made. So that was nice. So then the Greyjoys and the Daenerys, they make a pact. And it was funny seeing Tyrion and Theon unite, because last time when we saw them together, they basically traded insults and all. And now they've come so far from that day. So it was funny watching the exchange between Tyrion and Theon. But of course, now let's get to the thing that I'm sure a lot of you are waiting for, and that was the Battle of Bastards. So it starts off like Jon, he's meeting under a white flag with Ramsay. And Ramsay's like, look, return Sansa to me, and I'll forgive you for deserting the Watch. I'll forgive you for bringing the wildlings south of the Wall. I'll even give you your brother back, right? But if you fight us tomorrow, then I will slaughter everyone in your camp and under your command. And he even points out that Ramsay's army outnumbers Jon 2-1. And Jon's like, you're right, we don't need to fight. How about just you and I fight right now and end this right now, right? And so Ramsay, like, he's not falling for it. He knows that his army outnumbers Jon. So he's like, I'm not stupid. You're either going to fight me tomorrow and die, or you can give me Sansa back right now. But then Sansa, she's not having none of it. She's like, no, we're going to fight you tomorrow, and you're all going to die, and they will go away, right? So then they're planning for the battle that night, and Sansa and Jon, they get into arguments. Sansa thinks that Jon is being a fool going after Ramsay right now, but Jon says they can't wait any longer, that they have to take back Winterfell now or they won't get a chance later on. So Sansa's like, you don't know Ramsay Bolton like I do. He won't be the one falling for your trap. He'll be the one setting you up for a trap. And we see that later on in the battle, which I'll talk about later. So then the two armies, they meet the next morning, and then Ramsay, he brings Rickon out to the front, right, so where everyone can see him. And then he pulls out a knife, and at first I thought he was gonna like cut Rickon's throat, but then he cuts Rickon free, and he's like, let's play a game. You run to your brother, and as soon as you get to Jon, you win, right? So then Rickon starts running, and in my head I was like, wait, this is Ramsay. He's not just gonna let Rickon go. And sure enough, he pulls out a bow and arrow and starts shooting arrows at Rickon. So at this point, Jon is running towards Rickon himself, and I gotta admit that was a pretty tense moment. And just when it looked like Rickon and Jon, like they were gonna be, like Jon was gonna get Rickon, Ramsay shoots him through the heart, and Rickon dies. And I have to admit, I felt my eyes tearing up a bit, because the Starks, they've had so many people die throughout the seasons, and now he was so close to Jon and being reunited with his family, and yet he was killed right there. So then the look on Jon's face said it all. I've never seen Jon this pissed off at all. Like he just starts charging at Ramsay. His army, they start charging at Ramsay's army, and then finally the two armies clash. And I have to admit, this is one of the best fight scenes I've seen in Game of Thrones ever, like battles. Like, this is way better than the battle they had at the wall back in season 4. And at first, I wasn't sure if I liked this better or the battle at Hardhome. But I have to say, this is probably the best battle Game of Thrones has done so far. And I don't see how they're going to top it in future battles. So the two armies meet, and you can tell that Jon and his army, they're out of their league. Like Sansa said, Ramsay will be the one setting a trap. And sure enough, they box them in by piling some bodies on one end and then cornering them up with like long spears, so that the wildlings and Jon, they can't really get close and attack. They start closing in, and then the Karstarks, they're attacking from the other side. The Boltons are attacking from one side. All of Jon's army is boxed in. And just when it looks like Jon and his army are going to lose, Littlefinger and the Knights of the Vale show up. And then at that point, the look on Ramsay's face, he wasn't expecting the Knights of the Vale. And even Jon, he wasn't expecting the Knights of the Vale. So the Knights of the Vale show up, and they basically attack Ramsay's army. And at that point, Ramsay knows he's done, so he runs back to Winterfell, and he's like, look, they can't take Winterfell properly because they don't have enough men for a siege of Winterfell, and we have more supplies than them, so we can last them out. Similar to what Blackfish was saying about Jaime back in Riverrun. But then one he breaks through the door, but unfortunately he's injured, right? And like when Jon goes to help him, Ramsay shoots him in the eye. And at this point, Ramsay's army, they're pretty much dead. It's just him. And then Ramsay's like, fine, how about we fight one-on-one like you suggested? So then Ramsay starts shooting arrows at Jon, but Jon picks up a shield, and this kind of reminded me of Captain America in a way, like the way he's blocking the arrows and just running at Ramsay. So then he gets to Ramsay, and he puts him on the ground and starts beating the crap out of him. And I have to say, it was hugely satisfying watching Ramsay get beaten like that. Like Jon, he was beating him within an inch of his life. You say Ramsay's face was all bloody and beaten. I was kind of hoping Jon would kill him, but instead he lets him live. But that's not to mean that Ramsay lives. So yeah, Jon, like I said, I've never seen him this pissed off before, and it was so satisfying to watch him beat the crap out of Ramsay. So finally the Starks win the battle, and the Stark banner flies over Winterfell again. And then the ending was also satisfying. So Sansa's talking to Ramsay, and then she's like, we're not going to kill you, your hounds will. And then because Ramsay, he hasn't fed them in a long time, and she says, loyal, it doesn't matter how loyal they are, they're hungry right now, and they need food. And I love the line she tells Ramsay. She's like, you will disappear, your house will disappear, all memory of you will disappear, it'll be like you never existed. I thought that was a pretty cool line. And then the hounds, they start ripping Ramsay apart. And that was also satisfying to watch, because Ramsay, he killed a lot of people with his hounds. So it was pretty funny and satisfying to watch him get killed by his own hounds. So then Sansa walks away, and that's how the episode ends. So I don't know what they're gonna do from here. In terms of the North, like I assume Arya, she's gonna come back. I don't think this season, maybe next season, she's gonna come back and reunite with Jon and Sansa, hopefully. And in terms of the North, I think the only main storyline right now is at the Wall with Bran, Benjen, and Night's Watch, and of course the White Walkers. So, like I said, this was a pretty awesome episode. One of the best of the season, and one of the best I've seen in a long time from Game of Thrones. And this battle was hands down my favorite battle of all time from Game of Thrones. And I really hope like they can do better battles in the future. So that was my recap of last night's episode. So what was your favorite moment, and how did you feel about Ramsay's death, Rickon's death, and One's death? So, and of course, sorry, I forgot to talk about this. Sir Davos, he finds the doll that he made for Shireen back in season 5. So I think he knows that Melisandre had something to do with Shireen's death. So I don't know, maybe he'll confront her in the next episode or something. So we'll wait and see. So whatever your thoughts, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.